So welcome to this student virtual event in partnership with the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship and New Student Orientation. My name is Iris Moulton and I'm a student success advocate here at the University of Utah. So thank you so much for coming. This is really a chance to get any of your questions answered. They might be unique to, you think, to your own circumstances, but other people might have the same questions. You're welcome to ask them in the chat, and you're also welcome to ask them with your audio. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm a student success advocate, and a little bit about what we do. Student success advocates, we're completely mobile. My team does not have an office anywhere. So when students ask where they can meet with me, I'm able to go wherever they are. So I can meet students in between classes. I often will meet them in the lobby of the chemistry building or up at the Heritage Center cafeteria, in the Marriott Library, in the Union, outside on a bench because it's a nice day, kind of wherever fits into their schedule. We're easily accessible in that way, and we're also easily accessible because we're a text-friendly office. Each student success advocate has a work cell phone, and we respond to text messages as well as phone calls on that platform. And we like to consider ourselves kind of the best place to start. If a student has a question that they don't know the answer to, you can start with a student success advocate, and we can certainly at least point you in the right direction. So student success advocates are not experts, which you will probably see during this session if you have financial aid questions. I might not have all of the answers, but other people here do. And it's my job as a student success advocate to point you to those experts. So that's one thing that I do. Student success advocates also offer things like time management training and coaching and developing study skills. We might help you navigate a difficult conversation with your professor or your roommate. There's really nothing that we can't offer support in. And we're all about teaching students kind of how to do for themselves and coaching them in that role, and not so much doing for students. So I think that that's kind of something that's pretty important to mention. So right now, student success advocates are as active as we've ever been in this virtual model. Instead of meeting students in person right now, we're communicating via text, email, phone calls, Zoom, all of that kind of stuff. And when we are on campus, we're meeting, of course, in person, and we do class visits. We're at a lot of campus events. So you'll see student success advocates everywhere on campus once we're all back together, whenever that will be finally. And so I'll turn it over. Should I introduce the Zoom guidelines? I'm happy to. So some Zoom guidelines for this meeting. Please keep your microphones on mute throughout the presentation unless you're asking a question, because we can hear whatever's going on in the background. Please utilize the chat feature at any time. You can use the chat to ask us questions related to this, or mention that you're having difficulty hearing us, or anything like that. And then after this session, we'll have kind of a Q&A. And you might notice up in your screen, you can see that this session is being recorded, just the presenter view. So just the screen that you're seeing is being recorded for future reference for people who were not able to make it, or if you want to review this information yourself. Okay. Are there any questions before I maybe start with some of the questions that we have been asked? Any questions about this format or about what you can expect during this time? Monitoring the chat. I don't really see anything. So let me pull up our first question that we were asked. When you registered, you were given the opportunity to ask a question. I'm just going to read a few of those and let our financial aid team answer those. So the first question that I have is, are there any additional financial aid opportunities for students to apply for during the academic year? So I'm assuming this question is in reference to there's so much work you do before an academic year, whether it's filling out your FAFSA, applying for scholarships, but what can students do during the year? And I'll turn it over to some of our financial aid team to answer that.
Hey guys, my name is Elizabeth Atkinson. I work at the financial aid office in the counseling. I'm a counselor. So we accept walk-ins and questions. So throughout the year, if you had any questions about your scholarships or financial aid, you can always come and visit us. Now with this COVID stuff, we're setting up online ways to do that through not Zoom, but it's another platform. I forget what it's called. So we have that, and then also when we start Going back to school, we'll be meeting with students in a safe way. To answer your question, if you've been awarded before the semester begins, typically we award for fall and spring semester. And if you filled out the FAFSA information, then you're given that initial award that's like if you're Pell Grant eligible, state grant eligible, and loans, federal work study. So we'll offer you a package for fall and then spring semester, depending on your circumstances. And then good rule of thumb to always think about scholarships. Apply for scholarships anytime throughout the year. What comes up with regards to that. And let's see, my internet's slowing a little bit, so hopefully you can hear me. I was gonna share my screen, but I haven't done that before. So let me see how to do that. Share screen, and here we go. Cool. So what we want to do is you want to be familiar with our website for sure. So if you go to financialaid.utah.edu, it brings you to our main financial aid and scholarship page, which looks like this. If you click on types of aid and click on scholarships, that will, let's admit you, Daniel, that will bring you to our scholarship page. So depending on the type of student that you've entered here at the university, whether you're an entering freshman, a transfer student, a current student, or you're attending the Asia campus, we have different options for your specific situation. So current students, you just click on find scholarships, and that gives you a couple different ways to look at scholarships. You can log into our scholarship website, and then you can also look at lists of departments and colleges that maybe you're majoring in business, that you could look at what scholarships your department may offer. And then this other scholarships is very important. I always encourage students to click on that link, and it brings you to all these different sites like FastWeb and Peterson's, and all of these are great other scholarship sites for outside of the University of Utah that you can apply for. And it's great because you put in your situation, and then every answer that you create your profile with, it just kind of digs deeper to your unique situation, and you can get sent scholarships that would be applicable to you. And it makes it nice because then you're not trying to do Google on your own and you get lost down this rabbit hole trying to figure out, well, how do I find scholarships for my situation? So I would say that is a good place to start when you're thinking about other aid. And then also there's other options for you. Say you want to look into alternative loans. We have those types of things that you could think about doing if it would work for your situation. So I'm always for like borrowing smartly. So it just depends on, for you, sitting down, looking at your finances, what's going to be best for you and your family. But we do have those options. So there's a lot of stuff to our site that I encourage you to just sit and look and kind of play around with what it all entails, because there's just a lot of good stuff. Hillary, do you have anything else that you can think of?
So I'm Hillary, I'm in scholarships and financial aid. So I think you covered up pretty good, just what's on our website. Since you have your screen up, why don't you show them the scholarship application site, kind of what that looks like and how to navigate that?
Okay.
Since your screen's already shared.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how do I unshare myself. So funny. Okay, so scholarships, let's go back there. If you're entering freshman, we are just gonna say, hey, you can just click on, there are a couple different ways you can go into it. So you can apply by clicking this link right here. we also have different types of scholarships that you were considered when you applied for the University of Utah right here. So if you wanted to click on the link and look at what those requirements were and are for those scholarships, you can. It's just chock full of great information. So let's go here. And this brings you to our main page that tells you about the opportunities that we have. And at the top, you'll see this sign in button, and that's where you sign in using your account.
And I want to mention that if you're were affected by COVID-19, we do have emergency funding, and our application is on this page as well.
So you can, of course, mine's going to look different than yours. Do they, I don't know, Hillary, because you're more of a scholarship guru than I am. Is there anywhere I can show them the right stuff of how it would look for them? Do you know, Hillary?
Yes, I'm gonna try, because I don't think I have the award management view in my end. So I'll try logging in, and then I'll share on my end.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm like, that's not gonna be helpful to them at all.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Yay, okay, that's good. So
you got it, right on.
Yes. All right. So when you log in to the scholarship, you can get to it through scholarships.utah.edu, and you'll fill out a general application, and you just put in your general information for your situation. And then once you complete that, you can go to the opportunities and go to recommended. And it will show you recommended scholarships opportunities, and it'll give you like the due date. You won't see many on the site right now because it's getting close to the end. We'll be posting our 21-22 application, the general application, in September. So you'll log back in and complete a new application. But as I said, you can find our emergency funding on here as well. Let me see if I can pull that up and I can show you what it looks like. You'll see this little search bar right here, search by keyword, and you'll just put, let's say, emergency funds. And you just push enter and it should come up. Here we go. So there's our University of Utah Emergency Funds application. So you can apply through there if you were affected by COVID or experienced any setbacks with COVID. So for the CARES Act funding, you want to have a FAFSA on file to be considered for that, and enrolled for fall semester. If you did not do a FAFSA, you could possibly be considered for the emergency fund part of it, because that's a separate pot of money. So that's something to keep in mind. So that pretty much covers our application site. Just a good tip is when the new application opens in September, complete that and monitor this site just kind of on your own timetable every other week or weekly. The departments typically post applications in December through February. So that's the prime scholarship application season. So that's just my spiel on that. So we can go to the next one. We kind of took a long time with that question.
But it's good. General stuff, right? Generate more questions. Come on, peeps.
And I'll just add to what our financial aid team said, that tool of signing in and filling out your information is really valuable because it sifts out most of the things that might not apply to you, and it cuts down a lot of your work. And so as a student, I really recommend before you start, kind of looking elsewhere, being able to fill out that application and getting things, mostly tailored to you. There will still be the occasional thing that makes you say like, hey, I'm not in the marching band, but this came up. But it's not a perfect tool, but it really is helpful. And the search engine that they highlighted, or that place where all those different search engines are, that's a really great way to protect yourself from scholarships that might be untrustworthy, because these have been vetted by the U. So rather than going to Google, going to the financial aid page as your starting point for finding those resources is so important. So you may not remember absolutely everything they said, but do remember to go to their website when you have those questions. I just wanted to reiterate that. It's so important.
Sorry, I have a question about that. And also a little bit earlier, someone recommended like the other resources and talked about FastWeb and a few other different resources. So I'm just curious, with those resources, how do we know, should that be like a secondary source? First, we should look at the Utah, because how do we know if all of those scholarships are trustworthy, or loans, or all those things are trustworthy?
If it comes from our website, then you know it's trustworthy. So all the sites we've listed on there, we purposely put the list on there to help you guys to narrow down the whole scam deal. So yes, so everything, all of those sites listed on our website, you can trust them. Know that you're going to get emails from them. It's going to feel like spam, but it's not. You're just going to get a lot of email generated saying, hey, apply for the scholarship, apply for that. The other part of your question about, what comes first, or, what aid should I accept? I would say accept everything as far as like scholarships goes, all of that stuff. If you, you had mentioned the 4 Utah scholarships. So if you had been approved for that scholarship, then there is some as far as like, we would count those scholarships. Say you got so many different scholarships as part of your award, maybe reducing loans as a better option, so you can use the 4 Utah scholarship, which we would award you. We would award you the best possible offer we could, which is looking at scholarships, grants, whether it's federal, state grants, and then lastly loans, and then work study, of course. So loans are always that at the end of the spectrum. We'll offer them to you. If you need them, take them.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll just add, they're not with us right now, but there's an office called the, what did they change their money to? Not the Personal Money Management Center. Do you remember they just changed their name? Financial Wellness Center. Financial Wellness Center.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're not a part of the financial aid and scholarship office, but they're great for managing personal finances. So if you need help looking at your financial personal finances and figuring out loans, this office can help definitely, but the financial aid or the Financial Wellness Center can help with some of that planning too. And it'd be worth talking to both offices as you're making these decisions. And of course, like your family, obviously, but there are a lot of resources on campus to help you answer some of those more difficult questions. And that everyone just wants to work together to get you the best financial aid that you can get. And the link to that office was just put in the chat by Madeline. Thank you so much. So I'll ask another question that was in our Excel document, just to make sure that we can get to that. I think this is an interesting one. They ask, how often should I check my financial aid account? And how often should I just check in with the financial aid office? So I'll turn that over to our financial aid folks.
That's a great question. We send text messages and emails out to students if they've got some sort of requirements that we need you to finish for your financial aid to transfer funding and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily like you don't have to be so militant and like check it every day. We'll send you an email. So I would say maybe check your email often and respond to those emails from us if we need to other information from you. But I would say, you know, just make sure that you're checking every so often. But definitely, if you haven't checked it already as a newly admitted student, you'd want to do that and see where you're at in the process. Because sometimes we require that you turn in additional documentation before we can actually offer you your aid. And that takes, sometimes it takes us a bit of time once we receive that documentation from you to award you. So keeping up on those kinds of things is important. But again, we email you, and then we started using texting as a good tool. So just pay attention to our notifications to you, and that kind of saves your time as a student, feeling like you're not so overwhelmed. Also worrying about whether I should be, you know, calling financial aid. I hope that answers your question.
Wait, we
Go
check
ahead.
that. We check that stuff on. We can check that on like our CIS, right?
Correct. Yeah, you can check your CIS for the piggy bank so tile, so you can click on that anytime.
Okay.
And on that page, it has like your checklists. So if there's something that we require or missing information, it'll list it there. There's your award offer letter. There's scholarship information there as well. So, you know, if you check that and you still have questions about it, that's why we're here. Call, come in, come see an appointment, come talk to me or Zoom me or whatever we're doing these days. We're happy to help. So if at any time, I mean, we're always open to help students. So if you're confused, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm not sure if you guys already answered this earlier. Sorry, I got on late. But I was wondering, like, so where do we go to pay these fees off, our tuition? Would we still go to CIS to pay, or?
You want to take this one, Hillary? I was like,
Yeah, sure. So that's a really,
it's up to you.
that's a really good and important question. So I'll give you kind of an overview. So the tuition and housing bill will be posted in early August. So you'll be able to see what charges your tuition charges will be. And then tuition's not due until September 4th, which is a Friday. So you can pay through CIS.
Okay.
It's the tuition and loans tile. And then there's a little link in there that says payments and payment plans. So you can start setting up payment plans now if you want to do that, which is really a nice option. And you can also pay, they have the tuition office is separate from our office. That's one big key thing some people get mixed up about. Anything to do with tuition charges and paying your bill is not in our office. It's income accounting, which is just down the hall from us. It's on the same floor in the student services building. So they have a drop box for if you want to like drop off a check in their drop box. And I'm sure their windows will be open by the time school starts and you can drop off payment there as well. But just word of warning, once the tuition deadline approaches, that line is super long. And
like wrap around the whole hallway.
So we always advise paying online because you can do like an e-check or pay by credit card.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. And so then, oh yeah, I wanted to also ask about FAFSA. So we filled out our FAFSA in like October, and sorry, so what is, I don't know what I don't know about this. How will that help us? Like, how do we need to do anything to receive aid, or is the FAFSA mostly just like what like people awarding scholarships and grants will look at, or?
The FAFSA application is the initial application that goes through the federal government that tells you whether you're eligible for Pell Grants, state grant aid, and also federal student loans and federal work study. So it's a pot of money that the federal government is here to help you pay for college, knowing that not everyone can afford to pay for college. So that initial application that you filled out online was to tell us, like, once it gets sent to our office, it tells us your eligibility, and we award you specific amounts based on that eligibility information. And so when you log into your CIS, I guess let me first ask you, did you receive an email from the federal processor saying that your application's been processed and sent to us?
Yes.
Do you know that? You did.
I'm
And
pretty
have,
sure, yeah.
say that again?
I say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. That was a while ago.
Okay. And then have you received an email from us, our office?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So then at that point, what I would recommend doing would be to log on to your CIS under your student homepage and then clicking on that piggy bank
Mm-hmm.
and then looking at, you know, any checklist that might be on that page. So I'd go there first and take a look at what information can you find on that page. If there's nothing showing up, you know, after our call, I can take down your information and I can check on your file specifically and see where you're at in the process. But if you filled it out in October, more than likely we have your application and we're just waiting. We may be waiting on certain information, or you may have already been awarded. So that's highly possible. So first go there to CIS, and then if you need me to look into it further, I'll take down your information and we'll go from there later. If that's cool. Yeah, no problem.
And we had a question come in on the chat from Jared that might be kind of similar, Elizabeth, to what you're offering for Mahela, but it sounds like it might be something that we might need to look in further for him, but I just want to make sure that you all see it. The question is the review of what state and federal grants and scholarships I qualify for something that the financial aid office just does automatically per procedure? Last time I called the financial aid office and the person I spoke with wouldn't let me talk to a counselor and said they'd already checked my account to see what I qualify for and that I couldn't be helped any further. I've already applied on academic works and done the FAFSA. So it sounds like he's in kind of an interesting situation. Yeah,
Jared, I'll look at your account. Typically, that message should not have kind of gotten to you because the counselors are really willing and happy to speak with everyone, especially if they're confusion about a file or what's going on with your stuff. So yeah, I can take down your information and take a look and see. But you're right. The review of your FAFSA, the grants and scholarships, we do. That's just a normal process that we do. And depending on if you're selected for verification or you're not, it's just that determines the time that it takes for the award to happen. So yeah, so we'll just take a look at it for you.
I have a similar kind of issue. I've had a little bit of difficulty contacting the financial aids office. So what is the best recommended? Because I've done the email and sent emails and I haven't had too much response through the email. So what is the best way?
Go ahead, Hillary.
Yeah, I'll pipe in here since I actually answer a lot of the emails. So I would, because unfortunately due to COVID, you can't just drop by our office at this time. So I would say email us. From me doing the emails, I would say we're at least 3 to 4 business days out, just with the current what I've seen just today. So I would say email is probably the best option. You can try to call us. I mean, I've heard some students mention via email that it's been difficult to get through phone wise. It's just that we're working remotely, and we've had to like totally change our entire process. So we apologize for any delays or if you've had any difficulty reaching us, but I would say email's the best way. We're trying to implement like virtual appointments, and we're trying to get that on board. We really we're working for that before we start school. So, because that's just going to be a really key component. So for now, it would be email.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
and Daniel too, the other part of it, there's so many people emailing and calling that's why you're just feeling like, hey, I can't get a hold of everyone.
No, yeah.
And yeah, so again, I'm so sorry about that. It's never our intention to make any student feel like we're not here to help you, because that's why we're here. I mean, that's why we have the jobs that we do and are passionate about that. So whatever. And I'm so glad you came on this conference meeting too, because then we can look into things further if needed.
Okay, I think our two remaining questions that were submitted ahead of time, we've kind of touched on quite a bit, but there might be any additional resources our financial aid team wants to mention, or any additional parts to the question, especially if you share this question, that you could clarify in the chat. But the first question that was asked, or our almost last question, is what else can I do when I have unmet need and when my family contribution is 0? So at the beginning of this, we reviewed scholarships and everything that you can find on the website, including loans, grants, things like that. There is also the Career and Professional Development Service, which will be able to help plug you in through their online system, Handshake, to some maybe work study or online on-campus opportunities for employment. But is there anything else that our team wants to add to that unmet financial need question?
Sure, there's a lot of things that you can do. Now, every student, we issue a budget, a cost of attendance. And so based on it, you said your expected family contribution or your eligibility is 0, which means you have the maximum amount of federal eligibility out there, which is great. So that probably means that if you're attending full-time, you're going to get a full amount of Pell Grant and offer you subsidized and unsubsidized federal loans. And if you need money in addition to that, we are always plugging scholarships. Apply for scholarships, as many as you can, all the time, do it. And then also if you're considered a dependent student, there is a Parent Plus loan through the government that your parent can apply for to help you pay for college. There's also alternative loan options that way. Other ideas as far as thinking outside the box. If you or your parents are employed in a company, asking them if they have any education reimbursement programs. If you belong to a church or anything like that, or a nonprofit organization, asking them if they have scholarships, what opportunities do they have for people wanting to go to school. So those things along those lines, I would think about, hey, who do I know? What company do I know? Do I volunteer for a homeless shelter? What do I do in my time that could possibly be a possibility to help me out there? Because I'm always an advocate for, if you have to apply for a loan, that's cool. We got to do it. We got to do it. But if there's any way that we can minimize your debt, when you graduate, that's going to be helpful. But, at the very least, you could apply for an alternative loan and then use that money to help pay for the rest of whatever costs you need.
And our last question that was submitted ahead of time is, we've definitely touched on this, but you might want to add anything that we haven't covered. How and when do I know if I'm eligible for financial aid? So is there anything you want to add to that question?
I can add to that. So as we said, is just when you submit the FAFSA, it does take some time for it to process. Monitor your UMail account just to see if we needed that additional documentation. You could have been selected for verification. So the quicker you get those documents in, the quicker we can complete your file. So we will notify you via email of your financial aid offers, and it will tell you like your next steps. So. So as I said, it's very imperative to monitor your email account. We mentioned earlier that if you if you've submitted the FAFSA a long time ago and you haven't been notified and you're like, where's my financial aid offers? Please contact us and we can look into your situation. As we said, it could have been verification. If you did not put your social security number on the admissions application, we cannot load your FAFSA. So that's a really big thing with incoming freshmen. That could happen. We get a lot of emails. It's like, oh, I have a social security number discrepancy. So we'll tell you that. Those are probably the two biggest ones, is verification and the social security number issue.
Too true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you summed it up really good, Hillary. Yeah, those things. But what other questions do you have?
So we're done with our questions submitted ahead of time. We just got one from the father of a student, Narayani, who I think I've seen in other sessions. So hello again. So this student was awarded a non-resident academic scholarship from the university, and there's no more information on that. And I get this question actually quite a few times, so it'd be good to touch on that. When you get a scholarship or a financial award, how do you confirm it? How do you claim it? When do you get kind of the final information about how much that scholarship covers, what additional fees might be left? How does that work?
Hey, Hillary, do you know?
Oh, sorry, I was like reading that. What was can you repeat the question? I was reading something in the chat and I kind of.
Oh, okay. I was like,
So this question is from the chat. So basically, the summary of the question is kind of how do you confirm the scholarship and claim it? And then when do you get the final information about like what fees are left, or how much does it cover, that kind of thing?
Okay, I'm reading it now because I was reading a question, something below that. So for confirming a scholarship, you confirm your scholarship when you confirm your intent to enroll at the University of Utah. If you are unsure that you about if you actually confirmed, let us know, and we can let you know how to accept that through a different way. So that's one way. And with the total fee details, I did mention this a little earlier, that the tuition bill will be posted in early August. So tuition and housing charges, you'll see all the tuition fees, housing charges in CIS in early August. So typically it's August 1st. Sometimes it's a couple days after August 1st. So that's when it's posted by income accounting. And you can go in and check what your charges are. Did that answer all those questions in that paragraph?
I believe so. And then Riley has a question kind of in a similar vein about mandatory fees. I don't know if you can see that question. You might have the answer to that one.
The mandatory fees, is that the one from Riley? Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. So with the President's Scholarship, that's a good question. The President's Scholarship does not cover deposits for housing. So just so you know, but there is a housing, I don't know if you selected, you probably did select the housing option for to cover housing with the President. So it would just cover that, what's in the terms and conditions of the scholarship or what it would cover. There's another message. Okay. I have submitted FAFSA last December 2019 and some information. You're welcome. Okay. Oh, that's a really good question. Do you know the answer to that in the box, Jed? Because that's a FAFSA related.
Yeah, that's, you know, the signature page. Okay, but I'm unable to mail it. Did you apply for a PIN number and for the FAFSA? Because you can sign it online. If you did. If not, I will have to take down your information and do a little research because I have not heard of this issue, but it doesn't mean that it hasn't come up before for other people. So I'd have to do a little research. It doesn't come up very often anymore because of the online option to sign electronically. So let me know in the chat if you're able to sign it electronically. If not, I'll look into that for you.
Yeah, and you can just private message her the student ID number, and she'll email you directly.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
student directly.
Yeah, because we want to get that done as soon as possible, for sure. So,
do we have other questions?
So,
that's all.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, so if we wanted to, because I was looking at my CIS account, and from what I see, everything looks fine. So I was just wondering, Ms. Atkinson, do I just private message you my?
Yes, yes. Private message me your information, and then I'll email you on your email, or if you want me to call you, just include your phone number and I'll call you.
Okay. Well, what do you need for email? Just my.
Oh, I can find that online. Just your UID, then I'll log in and I have access to your email, my dear. I will find you somehow. So
Gotta try to remember my UID first. Oh crap.
Oh, you'll have it memorized before you know it.
Okay.
Any other additional questions that we didn't cover, or because we covered pretty much the big parts of it? As we said, make sure you're checking your UML and your CIS, your financial aid status, and financial aid offer if you haven't done that. Oh, I'll go over the financial aid offer. If you got your financial aid offer, make sure you review that. Your grants, like your federal grants and state grants, are automatically accepted for you. And if you're offered loans and work study, you have to go in and accept, or you can decline loans. You can reduce the amount. And another big step, if you are accepting loans for the first time, you have to do a master promissory note and entrance counseling. And you do that through studentaid.gov.
2 stars for you and a smiley face, Hillary. You got it.
Yes, because
yes.
I know that that new students wouldn't know that right off the bat, and that's one step out of the way you don't have to worry about. Get it done.
Sorry, so I accepted a loan a while back, but I didn't do these things. So what do I have to? Could you repeat that? I apologize.
Yeah, so you would go to studentaid.gov. I actually will just pull up the website and I'll just share my screen and what you'll look for. So unfortunately, Federal Student Aid redesigned the site earlier this year, and we were kind of thrown off guard. So we've had to kind of relearn where everything is.
Cute kids.
Mommy can sit down.
Okay, so we're on the website. So this is studentaid.gov. So where you want to go is to complete aid process. And what I tell students is just click that complete aid process, and you'll do step 4 and 5. And what you'll do is when you click on that, it will, let's say the master promissory note. It will ask if you're a undergraduate student. So you'll log in with your FSA ID and password to complete that. And you'll do the same with the entrance counseling. You'll log in. So pretty straightforward. The entrance counseling does take some time. So just prepare for that.
Yeah, and it's good to do it now. We haven't sent out letters to students for loans for fall and spring yet to say, hey, complete your promissory notes and entrance counseling. So you'll be ahead of the game on that, which will be nice. But that should be coming out, I think, within the next couple of weeks. So we haven't originated those loans yet, but we will be doing that shortly. So once we do that, then we'll get those emails out to students.
Yes. And also on studentaid.gov, you can, as you're a current student, you can monitor like how many loans you have and what your loan servicer will be when you graduate. So make sure you do, when you're done with school, do exit counseling, and I'll give you all that information. So that's another key FYI. Sometimes new students will forget that, and that will hold up your disbursement. So we don't want that to happen. And another good key information is make sure you're enrolled full-time if you're on have a merit scholarship. So that's 12 credit hours. So if you received a freshman merit or a transfer merit scholarship, if you're under 12 credits, your scholarship will not disperse to your tuition. So I know, like, before school starts, you're like adding and dropping classes trying to figure it out. So just keep that in mind. That's usually the #1 reason why your scholarship is not on your tuition bill that first week of school. And then disbursement for aid will occur the first week of school. That's another key point of information. So keep an eye out on your UMail account. We'll notify you when that's happened. Is there anything else I'm missing? Any other questions, follow up? We got the code of silence.
Sorry, could you repeat that last thing about the week before?
So yeah, the first week of school will be dispersing aid. So like your financial aid, if you have scholarship aid, that will disperse to the tuition bill. So that's pretty much an automatic process.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and yes. So, and another key thing to remember, I just thought of another thing, is when you complete your financial aid offer letter, you can set up your direct deposit authorization, which if you're getting money left over, that can be direct deposited to you to use for like your housing and books. If you're living on campus, those charges will go towards your housing on campus. If you're not living on campus, you'll get those. If you have a refund coming, it will come directly to you via direct deposit or a check. So we advise setting up direct deposit so you can get those funds in a timely manner. And if you do the check option, there can be a little bit of a delay, and it will send to the mailing address in CIS. So let's say you live out of state and you didn't change your mailing address, it's going to go to your mailing address at home if you didn't update your address in CIS. So just keep that in mind. Any other tidbits, Liz, that I'm missing?
Trying to think, we kind of did a good job as far as getting as much general information out there. Trying to think. You touched on some points.
Yeah, and we're here to help you, so just keep that in mind. I mean, I know when you're a new student, it's overwhelming, and if you don't know where to go, or if you're concerned about anything about your financial aid, and a lot of our counselors know like a lot of the general stuff you need to help you with, even with like paying tuition. If you want to just say, hey, how do I do this, they'll help you out with that. So we're here to help, so give us a call or email.
Yeah, and just be patient with I guess it's everywhere with the COVID process stuff. So things are going to be changing once we get back into the office about how we meet with you in person. So just be patient with us on that. But yeah, we're working our tails off to get you guys as awarded before then. But yeah, anything we can do to help for sure.
There's a new message. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. If I don't know, we don't have any other questions, do we?
I think I'm good. So thank you all so much for your help.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problems. Thank you.
Yeah, so it looks like Iris is frozen, but yeah, we'll go ahead and close out this session. Thank you all so much for coming. And if you don't have any questions, that's it. Have a great weekend and welcome to the University of Utah.
Yes. Oh, wait, we have a question.
Oh. Oh, so Riley, I'll answer that. So if you were unable to select the option for direct deposit, you can do it in CIS. So go to, when you log into CIS, go to the tuition and loans tile, and you'll see the direct deposit authorization link in there, and you can set up direct deposit there. So hope that helps. I think that was it.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We'll stay on here for just a couple minutes if any other questions filter in, but if there's nothing, again, have a great weekend. Thank you.